Hi guys, it's Arsh Ellahi and welcome to tonight's session where we're going to be showing you how to find property deals all over the UK. I'm going to be doing a bit of a showcase. I've never really done this before, so it'd be interesting to see your feedback on the presentation. But before we do that, I just need you to quickly check in with me. Let me know that you can hear me nice, loudly and clearly. And we'll get started, and we aim to be online for approximately 90 minutes. So if you can, just let me know what kind of area you're in, and also just give me a brief background as to who you are. So what's your name, where you're from, and what kind of experience you kind of have, whether you're a beginner, whether you've got some buy-to-lets, whether you've got HMOs, whether you're a seasoned campaigner, shall we call you. Just let me know so that I can kind of gauge where we need to take this presentation. So before we start, I want to give you a quick thank you for trusting me with your time this evening. I appreciate there's lots of things that you can be doing on a Sunday evening, but you've decided to invest your time with me, and I'm going to try and make this as compact, as content rich as possible so that you guys have all the knowledge to go off and start looking for deals. So what we're going to be doing over the next 90 minutes, we're going to be looking at, I'm going to be doing a property showcase. Like I said, I've never really done this before. So I'm going to be showcasing some of the properties that I've acquired historically, and also a mini experiment that I gave myself over the last 12 months to see how many properties could I acquire during lockdown. So whilst the world was standing still, I decided to give myself a bit of a challenge, and I'm going to be talking you through how that looks like from a property point of view. I'm going to be showing you how to find them and understanding the different deal types, and also understanding the buy or sell system. So why should you listen to me? I appreciate there's lots of people in the property space. I completely get that. And, you know, lots of people making a lot of noise, but why should you be listening to me? First and foremost, I'm a property investor myself. So it's really important for you to understand that. And hopefully you've seen that I've got a decent sized portfolio, you know, best part of, I think it's 1,100 tenants myself. That's the properties that we own. On top of that, there's a rent-to-rent portfolio that I've got. As well as that, I'm a columnist in two very well-known property publications, Your Property Network and the HMO magazine. Plus, I feature on quite a few other in other publications. I've been featured on Channel 4 under a program called Britain's Benefit Tenants. Feel free to go and check it out. I think it's on 4OD. I was runner-up of Entrepreneur of the Year for the British Muslim Awards back in 2016. God, that seems like a long time ago. Runner-up of the Entrepreneur of the Year of Natural Awards 2018. I'm a regular speaker at networking events across the country, and I'm also a Amazon best-selling author of a book called Boom Bust and Back Again. And as the title suggests, it's never always been an easy journey for me in property. And so what I'm going to be sharing with you is the good times, the bad times, and also how to kind of recover to get yourself into a sustainable position. Been involved in property over 20 years. So I'm not one of these people that have been on a course and then almost like regurgitating some of the stuff that other people have learned. Or everything that I'm going to be talking to you about, everything that I'm going to be showing you is stuff that I've learned over a 20-year process. So you could say that I've earned my scars. And then finally, I'm a property investor trainer, mentor that has helped over hundreds, if not thousands of people achieve financial freedom. One of my proudest business ventures is the Property Investor app. I'm not sure if you do or you don't know of the Property Investor app. It's the UK's first property investment marketplace mobile app, where we showcase all kinds of property deals all over the UK. So you can, if you haven't already done so, you can go and visit the propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, you can actually go to the App Store and search for Property Investor. Bear with me a second. I'm just responding. Someone said that they can't hear anything. So there we go. Right. Okay, so let's keep moving on. And then during lockdown, I decided to release a podcast. It became a top 10 property podcast. It's called The Property Rebel, and the tagline is not conforming to the property norm, and I'm hoping that you really resonate with that. In today's session, we release new episodes every Tuesday at 6 a.m. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher, just to name a few of the places. Right. Andrew says, is this webinar live? Yes, it is, Andrew. So welcome to the webinar. Right. Okay. So let's get moving straight on. The benefits of finding BMV deals. So for those that don't know, let's start from the beginning. BMV is an abbreviation for below market value. So why would you want to find a below market value deal? And the very honest answer is because you want the ability to purchase the property below market value. And once you're in the position of finding those deals, you're then in the position to, negotiate the best deal possible. So whether you're direct to vendor, whether you're direct or whether you're dealing with an estate agent, the aim is to try and get the best possible deal and also create a win-win scenario. But one of the benefits of finding a BMV deal is that it does not limit your ability, because when you're buying it below market value, and I'm going to try and keep numbers really simple. I appreciate there's people on the webinar from all over the country where the prices vary massively. So let's keep numbers simple. If you're purchasing a property for £100,000, or sorry, the market value of the property is £100,000, and you're buying it for circa around 95,000. Yes, you could argue that you're buying it slightly below market value. However, that will restrict what you can do with the property, because with only a £5,000 discount, you're not really going to be able to sell the property on for a capital gain, because once you've paid the solicitor's fees, once you've paid the estate agent's fees, you're not actually making any money. You may actually even create a loss. So the more of a discount that you get, the more opportunities you open yourself up to. So you want to be looking at the property and say, well, okay, it's worth this. I want to offer this. And within that, I have the ability to either sell the property on and generate a capital gain, or potentially purchase it and then refinance it against the open market value within a period of 6 months or more to pull out some of your initial capital. And also, if you're able to do that and pull out all your initial capital, it allows you to recycle your capital or recycle your deposit to build a larger portfolio. So when you see people, or when you hear of people that has got quite a large portfolio, and you're thinking, how have they done this? There's no science, or there's no magic behind this. All they've done is that they've bought well. Have you ever heard the saying, you make your money when you buy, not really when you sell? Because, depending on how well you purchase the property will determine all the options that you have with that property. So if you buy it, if it's worth 100 and you've negotiated a deal for 70,000, you've then got that opportunity to sell it and make a capital gain. So whether you sell it for 80, 90, 95, you still made that capital gain. Or if you bought it for 70 and it's worth 100, you could then go to a mortgage company after 6 months and say, guys, okay, I've got this property, it's worth 100,000. Will you lend me up to 75% on it? 75% of £100,000 is 75,000. Bear in mind that you paid 70 for it. They will lend you up to 75. Means that you get all your money back out. And people, this is how property investors have built portfolios. So if anything, that's a golden tip for you there. And then finally, if the property is below market value, you could, if you haven't got the funds to purchase the property yourself, or you don't have the means to purchase the property yourself, you could also sell the deal onto a property investor for a fee. And this is a process called deal sourcing, and we're going to be talking about this shortly. Now, one thing I will say is that this webinar, this session, is going to be talking to you from two different angles. From a point of view that, are you looking to find deals for yourself or for your own portfolio? And if you are, great, because you're going to be in a fantastic position to try and find deals for yourself. And we're going to be talking about how to create the value in the deal so that, again, you've got the opportunity to either sell, refinance, because they're your kind of exit strategies. So I hear lots of people tell me pretty much daily saying, Arsh, there's no deals in my area. And just please make this an interactive session. Tell me, is this what you think? Lots of people in London, which is down south from where I am. I'm actually based in Wolverhampton of the West Midlands, and they say, "Oh, I can't find deals in London, or it's too expensive, or by the time I get round to it, it's already gone." And I'll be honest, I find deals everywhere. And I think what you have to start to do is work with adapting your mindset. So why is it that you think there are no deals? What is it that's stopping you? What is your limiting belief? And these are the things that we can start to address. So a person at Page says, yes, I live in London and I'm scared of this. Why are you scared of it, Page? Because let's face it, there are deals everywhere. I'm going to be talking to you shortly about an acronym. And as a result, I'm hoping that resonates with you. So stay with us if you can, Paige. So you might think that in your area, in a rising market, that's impossible to find BMV deals. Just so that you know, I'm finding BMV deals all over the country. So I'm not sure whether you're on the Property Investor app. Only on Friday, we had a deal in London, which is approximately best part of 20% below market value. And then we go right up to, deals. And we look all over the country, so we can start in Scotland and we go as far down as Devon, Cornwall, and we're going to be talking about some of these opportunities in the case studies. And so we're asking ourselves, what is a deal? Generally speaking, people will think that a deal is buying something for less than what it's worth. And this then leads you or opens you up to two further questions. How do you measure the market value of a house? And more importantly, why would someone sell you their house so cheap? So I can talk to you about some of the examples. Now, one, in this scenario, I'm doing a deal at the moment where we're buying a 3-bed detached house in Wolverhampton. We've had it valued at £450,000. Now, we're actually purchasing it at £350,000. And we didn't actually come up with that purchase price. The vendor came up with that purchase price because that's what they needed to move on to their next transaction. So we went through that process and they said that you can buy this house at £350,000 based on this, and this. So we're actually buying it at around a 20% discount, or if you look at it from a figures point of view, like £100,000 worth of a discount. Now, when I'm looking at a property, everything is spreadsheet led. When I say spreadsheet led, I don't look at it from, it's a £5,000 discount, because a £5,000 discount may only be a 1% discount depending on the area of the country that you're in. So I look at it from a percentage point of view because that's what the banks will look at it from. So what is the deal? Is it buying something below market value? Is it buying a property in need of renovation? Is it something that's already income producing? Is it something producing a good ROI? For those that don't know, ROI stands for return on investment. You may also hear an acronym of ROCE, which is return on capital employed. They are pretty much the same. Something with good potential of capital growth, or something that is sustainable. So, when you look at it from that point of view, if you start looking at it, think, well, in actual fact, if your limiting belief allowed you to believe that a deal is only something below market value, in actual fact, you're only covering one of the bullet points, which is on the screen right now, which means that in actual fact, you're missing out on 5 of the other opportunities. So I want you to start thinking about this with a blank canvas and a different mindset. So what is a deal? Could it also be something that has a cash flow opportunity, something that has capital appreciation, something that has the opportunity to add value, something where refurbishment is required, somewhere where you can go off and get a planning gain, somewhere where the opportunity where you can take control with little capital, or the opportunity to use someone else's asset in exchange of time. And believe it or not, all these are different types of deals. So when you're thinking of a deal, were you only really considering something that was below market value? Because if you were, and I don't mean to offend you, but perhaps you were looking at it with a very narrow mind, or you fell into the trap of being a one-trick pony. if you look at it from a different point of view and you think, well, okay, here's a house, here's what it is now, here's what it could become, and here's what we could do with it, and here's what we could get as the end value. Now we're starting to think as a true property investor. So going back to my example of my house where we've had it valued at 450,000 and we're purchasing it for 350,000. Why would they sell it me so cheap? Has anyone got any idea? Why would someone sell me their property so cheap? Why would someone actually offer me £100,000 in equity? Because believe it or not, price is not always the motivating factor. Think about your personal scenario, and every single one of you would have been in a situation, whether you're selling a car, whether you're selling your house. Now, I know that cars and houses are pretty much, difficult things to shift. So, give you an example. I was looking to move property. Now, when we're looking to move property, I put my house on the open market, and it sold pretty much instantly for the asking price. And then during that, we then found our other house and we started that process. And then during the process, my house fell through. The one that we were selling fell through because the person couldn't get a mortgage, personal circumstances. So someone else came along and they offered me slightly below what we had previously. And I almost started to feel like I became a motivated seller. It's not because I needed to sell, it's because I just wanted to sell. Now, think of it from other points of view, other things that's going on in your life right now, whether you're going through financial hardship, whether you're going through marital relationship hardship, shall we call it, whether you're upscaling, you're downscaling, whether you've got your kids have just fled the nest, have gone off to university, it's that time of year. There's a number of reasons as to why people want to remove themselves from that situation. And I've been in a scenario quite a few times, and I like to think that I'm quite a savvy property investor. I sold my car, I purchased a new car, and I put my old car on Auto Trader, and it didn't sell, and I eventually ended up selling it to a company called We Buy Any Car. And you'll probably know those guys, a national presence. But in actual fact, I sold it, but it wasn't because the price for me was not the motivating factor. It's just the fact that I didn't want another car. When I had another car, I had to insure that car. I then had to road tax that car. I then had to service that car. And it's everything else that came along with the car. It wasn't the fact that I needed the funds from the car to purchase my other car because I already bought that car. So when you start looking at it from these kinds of, when you look at all the different motivating factors, and as someone has put here, people needing the money for something else. Mohammed says, are they negative equity? No, they're not. Believe it or not, the lady is actually quite wealthy. So the lady that's selling it is actually quite wealthy. So she doesn't need the funds. She's just looking to do other projects. And she says, well, Arsh, she goes, I know it's probably worth a little bit more than what I'm offering it you at, but the fact that you can do it at a certain speed. So for her, it was the timeline and how quickly we can get the transaction done. It's not that she's in financial hardship. She just wants the funds to do the other projects. If I don't deliver on that time frame, it's going to hold up her other projects. So there's lots of reasons why people will move. And here's the acronym that come up: RPSD, Root, Problem, Solution, Deal. And here's how I put it into a sentence. If you get to the root of the problem, find a solution, and there you'll have your deal. So go through that again. Get to the root of the problem, find a solution, and there you have your deal. So many people make offers on properties without actually understanding what you're offering on and the reason why you're offering on it and the reason for the sale. Now, if you're dealing with an estate agent, I appreciate that may be difficult. I appreciate that it may be difficult. Now, sorry, Martin's come in with a great question. He goes, is there a website that allows us to see how long a property is on the market for? Does any price changing whilst you're on the market? Actually, Martin, yes, there is. And believe it or not, this is not really secret as far as I'm concerned. And it's Zoopla. Zoopla allows you to do that. So if you look at one property and you scroll down to the bottom of the page of that property, it will actually show you the history as to when the property came on, how much it was on the market, how much it got listed for initially, and then slowly but surely it will also show you when it got reduced and how much it got reduced by. So here's one of the golden tips that I'm going to give you, and thank you for raising it, Martin. You can actually filter your searches according to how much it's been reduced by, and Zoopla do a great tool where it shows you how much of a percentage it's been reduced by as well. So that's one of the ways that you can maximize or find out who is becoming motivated with their approach. So let's get straight into the case studies. Now, remember I said that this webinar is all about finding deals, but also showing you how you can monetize it and how you can maximize the cash flow from these properties, so that when you find deals, what do you do with them? Now, here's the property that I bought, and it's the one in the middle. It's the one right in the middle. So purchased the property for £60,000 in Wolverhampton. So a couple of the properties I already own, and I'm using these as case studies. The others are ones that I've acquired from the start of lockdown, so within the period of the last 12 to 15 months. So I purchased this property in the middle for £60,000. Now, this lady on the left here, I went off to get planning permission, and I was liaising with her, and I said, because we've got shared right access down this alleyway here. And I said, well, if we get planning for the 2 flats, I'm going to need to get access here, so that one of the accesses to the flats was going to be to the rear. And she goes, no way. She goes, that's my gate. And I said, well, unfortunately, it's shared access, so I do have right of way over it. But anyway, she started to object, and as a result, as soon as we knew objections were coming in, we don't like having a refusal, so we decided to withdraw the planning application. As a result, I then started looking at what else could we do within delegated powers. And because Wolverhampton was not an Article 4 area when we purchased the property and when we were going through this process, we actually were able to convert the property into a 4-bed HMO. I thought I was being quite nice, only offering to give her 2 tenants. She didn't like the fact that we were giving her 2 tenants, so I actually went with Plan B and gave her 4. And as a result, we converted the property into a 4-bed. She was absolutely up in arms. You can't do that, da 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 da. And unfortunately, the council said he's well within his right to do that, and we then set it up as a 4-bed HMO, and that property now generates £20,000 per annum. A cash flow after all costs. So when we're looking at costs, we're looking at things like council tax, water rates, electricity, gas, broadband, little things like that. It gives us approximately £1,200 a month. And the beautiful thing with this, not only am I showing you what I purchased it for and what I did with it, I'm also showing you the exit as to what I did with it. So with this property, I was able to refinance it. So I got the property, I purchased the property, I renovated it, I converted it. I then tenanted it, I then refinanced it and got all my money back out on this property. We have this property valued up at £180,000. So bear in mind that, obviously, going back to what I said, if I can lend up to 75% of the £180,000, it's going to be well in excess of what I purchased it for, which means that I get my money back out. It gives me an infinite return on investment. So here's another property that I shared, I think, on some of our marketing. So there's 2 houses in Merrydale Lane, Wolverhampton. And these originally were offered to me as a pair of houses by an estate agent, and they had them on the market for £400,000. I refused to offer on them because I didn't want to insult the agent. So I said to him, I'll tell you what, if you have no joy and you need someone to offer on them, give me a call. And I said, but at the moment, I will refuse to put an offer in. 12 months later, he calls me, he goes, we did have an offer, they were going through, it hasn't proceeded, would you like to make an offer? And I know this agent quite well, and I offered him £200,000 at the time. Now, the reason why I offered him £200,000 is because that's what I thought it was worth to me. I wasn't desperate to buy these because, believe it or not, this was a nun-convent, which meant that basically this house was owned by the Church of England, And as a result, they were using it as a nunnery. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but when we went in there, there was approximately 20 odd nuns that lived in this property. Now, as a result, we got planning permission for one of them to be converted into a 9-bed HMO, the other one converted into a 7-bed. Why would we go for a 7-bed instead of go for a 9-bed? Because they're identical properties. I decided to play around with the layout of one of them. So on the 9-bed, we've got shared facilities. On the 7-bed, we've got all en suites, and the rooms are slightly bigger, so we didn't have as much space once we put those in, but it still generates the same kind of money. Now, so we've got a 16-bed HMO that now we purchased for 235. I offered the agent 200. He turned around and said, sorry, we can't do a deal at 200. And he goes, but if we can close something off today, I'll see what we can do. We then went up in increments. They came back and said, can you offer 300? I said, no. I then went back at 210. They said no. And we ended up meeting within the space of half an hour at 235,000. So, question, good deal or bad deal? Now, I suppose my question to you guys listening of that now, would you look at something like this and think, well, would I be interested in this? And more importantly, before you saw what I had done with it, would you have known what you can, would you have said that this is a good deal? Would you have known what your exit strategy is? I always like to work with the goal of the end goal in mind. When we talk about that, I want to know that if I get into it, can I also get out of it? Does that make sense? So if I'm looking at buying something, it's all very well me buying it, but if I can't get my funds out of it, it kind of doesn't make sense for me. So as a result of that, as a result of it generating the income that it's generating, it's now generating 77,000 per annum, and it gives me a cash flow of approximately £4,000 a month. Now, just so that you know, I'm not putting these figures up here for vanity. What I am doing is showing you the reason that you can actually purchase properties off an estate agent below market value. And I'll be talking to you about different ways as to how we can do these deals shortly. So refinance, got all the money out of the property, and it gives me an infinite return on investment. Here's one that I did last year. So during lockdown, purchased this property on with an estate agent. Now, the estate agent actually had it on the market for £180,000. Now, when they put this on the market, they had every man and their dog went and viewed this property. And I thought there's no way that I was going to get this property, because I thought we were going to end up in a bidding war. What we did do, we actually offered, so there's a couple of questions that have come up on the last property. I don't mind answering these whilst we're going through, because it may be a bit too late later. So one of the questions has said, what would you have done if you couldn't get planning permission on these after doing the after doing the deal? Well, believe it or not, this was prior to Article 4 coming in, so I could have converted these as an absolute minimum as a 6-bed HMO and a 6-bed HMO. So worst case scenario, I would have got 12 beds out of it. Best case scenario, I was going to get the 16 out of it. So I worked my figures as a worst case scenario as a 12-bed, but my best case scenario on the 16-bed. And then another gentleman said, how did you get it for 235 if it was listed for 400? Now, my conversation with the agent went a little like this, that I didn't believe that the value was there for £400,000. I couldn't justify each house being worth circa around £200,000 each at the time, because they needed a little bit of work to bring them up to a specific specification. Now, as you can appreciate, that running it as a convent for the Church of England and running it as a HMO have two lots of legislation. So we had to work around that. So Mohammed says, how do you negotiate a price like that? Believe it or not, Mohammed, when you put an offer forward, as long as you've got a strong enough, not case, but a strong enough reason for putting your offer forward, and you justify your offer, believe it or not, it is actually viable. So when people say, well, Arsh, okay, it was on the market for 400, how did you get it for 235? I had to say to them, guys, it's not worth 400,000. You could put it on for £1 million. It doesn't mean it's worth £1 million. it's worth a figure. And I worked my figures on it running as a 6-bed HMO and a 6-bed HMO, and then the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. So moving on. So this one was actually on the market for 180,000. Sorry, lots of questions coming in on that. Billy says, did you really manage to get a 9-bed out of them? The houses don't look big enough. The houses are absolutely huge, Billy. Okay, so Colin says, what was the conversion cost? So I believe we spent approximately around 25 to 30,000 pounds on these two properties to convert them. So they already had bathrooms on each floor, so they are quite large. They don't look, they're quite deceptive because from the outside they just look like terrace properties, but if you go in them, they go back a long way. So Mohammed says, do you look around the area of the house as well? So do you look around the area of the house as well? Yes, I do. And Alpe says, is the Zoopla valuation reliable? No, it's not. And the reason being is that they just look at a street, and if one house sold for 100,000, another house sold for 200,000, they just kind of calculate how many houses are on that street, and the algorithm gives you a random calculation. So I don't think it's very realistic. Now, going on to this one, block of flats. It went on the market for £180,000. I actually offered them the full market value. I wasn't going to be in this position where I wanted to negotiate because I knew instantly when I looked at this property, I looked at the floor plan, I knew exactly what I could do with it. I went in and I said to them, guys, okay, I'll offer you £180,000, which is the full value, which means that I'm not even going to try and knock you down a penny. However, I want to complete within 3 months. And they go, well, why do you want to do that? And I said, because I want to do it as a subject to planning deal. Do you guys know what I mean by a subject to planning deal? So yes or no, just give me a no. Okay, so lots of people saying no. Okay, so basically I said to the estate agent, I'll offer you the full market value based on the fact that the owner allows me to go off and get planning permission on the property. And they go, what are you going to get planning permission for? I said, well, I'm aiming to get a block of apartments, and I want my architect to start drawing, but in order for me to do that, we need to start the sale process, which means that the property then comes off the market and the owner allows me to put the application in. So I said, worst case scenario is going to be 3 months. And they said, well, what happens if we don't complete within the 3 months? And I said, well, we'll keep communicating throughout the whole process, and I'll let you know exactly how we're getting on. So during that process for 3 months, the moment I put the offer in, my architect went round literally within the same week. We had the plans drawn up within that week, and the application was submitted. We got planning permission granted within 8 weeks. So within the time frame that I told the estate agent. Before that also, I have multiple conversations with the planning officer just to see if they've got any concerns about the scheme. And planning permission was granted for, as we suggested, 6 one-bedroom flats. We had the flats valued on a RICS valuation. RICS valuation is a chartered surveyor's valuation, and they valued it at 100,000 per flat, which gave us a gross development value of £600,000. Now, bear in mind that the purchase price was 180,000. The build cost of converting the flats was 220,000, which meant that all in all, we was in around £400,000. But we had it valued at 600. So my point that I'm trying to get across here is that if you can see value in the deal, do not be afraid to offer the market value. If the truth be told, I probably even would have gotten in excess of 180,000. If I had to be pushed, I would have gone up to 200, maybe even as far as 250. And the reason being is that I knew that the value was going to be within the region of 600 grand on the basis that I can get 6 one-bedroom flats out of it. You can see the depth of the building. It goes all the way back to that tree. So it's a large building. But again, remember what I said at the start of this session, that you make your money when you buy, not necessarily when you sell. So in this scenario, I knew that if I could get this property to value up at 600 grand, I'm buying it for 180, and my purchase costs are going to be, and my build costs are going to be within the region of 200 to 250,000 pounds. I'm still going to be quids in, based on the fact that it's going to be valued up at 600,000. If I just quickly get my calculator, if they're going to lend me up to 75% of 600,000, so 600,000 times that by 0.75, they can lend me up to 450 grand. So in order for me to get all my money back out, I can't spend more than 450,000 pounds on the purchase and the build and the legal costs and the architect's costs and the professional fees. That's what I knew was my benchmark. So you work with that in mind. I decided to keep this property after because again, for me, if I can get all my money back out, for me, it's about cash flow. It's generating income for my business. It's generating cash flow for me. So it allows me now to, again, get to the point of financial freedom, generates 40,000 per annum, and a cash flow of around £1,900 a month. Bear in mind that I've still got approximately, the best part of £150,000 worth of equity in the property as well. So who likes this? Who kind of likes this deal? So Miss B says, hi, did you get the borrowing facility for the property, and how did you finance the build costs? So believe it or not, there are lots of lenders out there that will lend on a percentage of the purchase cost and also the 100% of the build cost. So let me just run that past you again. You can get lenders out there that will lend up to 70% of the purchase cost and up to 100% of the build cost. So if you've got the money for the deposit but you don't have the funds for the build, you can actually get that, and that's called development finance. So there are lots out there. Rob says, did you split the leases on this and keep the freehold, so separate gas meters? So no, when you're refinancing, so Rob wants to know, did I keep it all on one title? Yes, I did. I kept it on one title. If I was going to sell them off individually, then I would have to split the titles. But initially, for the purpose of refinancing, it's easier if you refinance them on one title because it becomes too messy if you've got 6 titles. Okay, so let's keep moving on. Okay, so Dimitri says, how come not convert into a HMO and keep the cost lower? No need for planning permission, less Article 4 area, of course. Now, Dimitri, just something to bear in mind is that not every property has to be a HMO. More importantly, you've got to determine where you are in your property journey. Now, for me, when I did this, that I've kind of stopped purchasing HMOs, and the reason being is that I think I've got too many, and I say that without the vanity. But I think I've got too many HMOs now. I've got, the best part of 1,100 tenants, a large majority of those in HMOs. So now, for me, my focus is blocks of apartments. And believe it or not, we'll talk about commercial finance, but funding on HMOs is not as easy as it used to be. And funding on blocks of apartments are a lot easier than funding HMOs. So that, again, these are all the things that you've got to take into consideration. Zach asked a question, how much was the down payment for this on Tetton Road? So bear in mind that if I was to go and get lending on this, if I was purchasing 180 grand, let's say I have to put in 25% deposit, that's 45,000. Then you've got your stamp duty. Believe it or not, this property was exempt from stamp duty because it was in a derelict condition. Then you've got your legal costs, then you've got your stamp duty, legal costs, then you've got all your professional fees. And then I actually, with this one, I don't mind saying that I funded the actual build cost, so I didn't get any funding on it. So all in all, I was probably in the best part of, let's say, 220 for the build, plus the best part of, let's say, 60 grand for the purchase. Was it 65? Was it? Let's have a quick look. My math isn't great. So 180 times that by 0.25. So the deposit would have been 45 plus the professional costs, the legal costs. So we would have been in approximately 280 grand. So about 60 grand for the initial purchase and the other costs, and the 220 grand for the rebuild. But I got all that back within a period once I refinanced it. So there's some of the properties. So I've shown you a real mixture there. I've shown you a small terraced house where I wanted to get 2 flats, but it was going to get refused. Got 4-bed HMO. I showed you 2 large terraced houses where we went straight in for the large HMOs. Then we showed you a house which we we're going to convert into a block of apartments. Every way we're stopping. Every way we're adding value. So Mohammed says, what if you can't afford the deposit? Right, Mohammed, keep that thought, because there are other ways that you can actually raise funds. So you can use other people's money. So you can joint venture with other people. So there's lots of ways that you can use it, but I'll be talking about that shortly. So 2020, 2021. Would you all agree that it's been quite an interesting time of our lives, and we'll probably never see this time of, I hope we don't see this style of business and this style of lifestyle again. When we're talking about that, we're talking about lockdown, we're talking about being almost constrained to the 4 walls of our homes. I decided to set myself a challenge. I said, well, Arsh, if we're at home, we still don't want to down tools, and I want to do something different. I want to show people that even though we're at home, we can still make money. So I set out a challenge. How many properties can I acquire within 1 year where I don't actually purchase them and I simply acquire them? And how much does that look like from, how many properties does it look like? And more importantly, how much does it look like from a cash flow position? Because let's face it, lockdown showed a lot of people a lot of things about sorry, I was just reading some of the comments. So lockdown showed us a lot of things about a lot of businesses and whether they could, how sustainable they were. So I decided to approach all landlords that had empty rooms in their properties, and I said to them, guys, okay, it's lockdown. What's the chance of you filling these rooms now? And a lot of landlords were in a lot of trouble. And I didn't publicize this. I literally just went about my business. I was making calls and I was doing virtual viewings. And as a result, we were getting deals done. Now, the property on the left-hand side is a property on Allen Road. So both properties are on Allen Road. So I've got number 3 Allen Road. I've got number 87 Allen Road. Believe it or not, I've actually got 89 Allen Road as well. But the one that we're talking about is number 87, where I agreed a 7-year rent-to-rent deal where we paid the landlord, I think off memory, and again, these are all figures off memory, around £700 a month, and the cash flow is circa around £1,200 a month. Now, it was already a HMO. I was targeting specific stock where it was already a HMO, but it had a low occupancy rate. Now, the reason why I think I can do better, because I'm quite good with our marketing for our rooms. We always remain a high 90th percentile of occupancy. And I know that if we were to take a property on, we should be able to fill it quite quickly, providing that the figures are realistic. So I offered this guy this guaranteed rent based on the fact that I know that we can get this filled, where I don't pay a deposit. No works were required because it already was fully HMO compliant, already HMO license in place, and it generates £1,200 a month. Now, just out of curiosity, if someone was to say to you, Arsh, or say to you, let's say, Billy, here's a property, it's already fully HMO compliant, and here's the rent that I want, and you look at it from a point of view that you can make money from it without doing any work to it, would you take it, Billy? Yes or no? And this was my strategy throughout lockdown. The second property on the right-hand side is a 4-bed HMO on the same road, where we actually, this one I had to take as part of the deal because the owner had both of them. But we only did a 1-year deal on this one. So note that there's a 7-year deal and a 1-year deal, and the cash flow on this one is quite low. It's £400. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't take it. But I looked at it from a group point of view. okay, so even if this one, pretty much breaks even, I'm doing it to win on this side. So again, no deposits and no works. Now, again, two properties on the same road. We've got number 40 on this road and we've got number 56 on this road. So the 56 is the one on the right-hand side, 40 is the one on the left-hand side. We've done a 7-year rent-to-rent and a 3-year rent-to-rent, both on properties that I don't own. I've got no intention of owning. What I've done is I've built up a portfolio of properties that I do not own. I've got no intention of owning. I'm simply utilizing these as a cash machine, as a cash generator. The first one on the left-hand side generates approximate cash flow of around £1,200 a month, no deposit paid. I've had to spend about £2,000 of works on this. I don't mind saying that. When I say £2,000 of works, it's pretty much redecorate throughout, in sort of redecorate as like a paint and a fresh up throughout on the inside there. The property of this one, again, I've had to spend about £1,000 on redecorating it in some of the rooms that were vacant. So if someone was to say, okay, so we've got a couple of questions coming in. Is the landlord still responsible for the HMO license, or the license holder is become the landlord on a rent-to-rent basis? Now, everything with regards to rent-to-rent is all subject to negotiation. When we talk about subject to negotiation, it talks about who's going to be responsible for the maintenance, who's going to be responsible for the bills, who's going to be responsible for the HMO license. Now, in scenarios, I generally become responsible for the HMO licenses. Or there's been some scenarios where I'm simply the manager, but the owner still remains the license holder. So again, it all depends on what you're negotiating, Jeanette. Mohammed said, is rent-to-rent illegal? Absolutely not. And there are lots of documents that you need to put in place to make sure that you do remain above board. So Zach says, what do you do to get the tenants so quickly? So just so that you know, Zach, I actually run a marketing campaign on tenants. So we put lots of adverts out there. We put Facebook adverts out there. We actually put Google adverts out there. We actually do quite a lot of SEO work. We advertise on Spare Room. We advertise on Gumtree. We advertise on Open Rent. We put them on Rightmove and Zoopla. We do a referral scheme with our tenants, so that if another tenant finds us a friend that's looking to move in, they get a percentage of a discount of rent for the next following months. So Robert says, how do you go about redecorating or refitting a bathroom in a tenanted property? Very simple. Now, most properties will have more than one bathroom. A 6-bed HMO will have to have more than one bathroom under HMO legislation. So what we tend to do, we say to the guys, remember, we're not doing it for months on end. We're saying, for a week, would you mind using downstairs whilst we update your facilities upstairs? I'm sure you'd be happier with a nicer bathroom than a grotty bathroom. And they were all happy with that. So again, this is all down to communication with your tenants. So here's the ones that you're going to like. Now, this one, left-hand side, 10-bed HMO. I've done a 7-year rent-to-rent where I'm paying the landlord £1,700 a month. And it cash flows around £2,400. It already had HMO license in place, but it already had, when I took this on, 8 tenants out of 10. So it was already income generating from day one. No deposit, no works. And slowly but surely, over a period of time, I have started just the 2 rooms that were vacant. I just decided to do a bit of works from the outset. The other one on the right-hand side, believe it or not, you're reading that right, £24,000 worth of works. So why would I spend £24,000 worth of works on a property? The reason why I spent £24,000 worth of works on someone else's property is because we've got this on a 7-year deal. We've also got the option to purchase on it at a very good rate. We actually got almost like a 6-month rent-free period. We got no deposit. And we actually got it at a very low rent for the whole 7 years. So it allowed us to pull all our money back out within the space of 18 months. So as you can see, every property has an individual negotiation. So Mohammed says, how did you get a 6 months rent free? Because the property was almost like derelict. Mohammed had to spend £24,000 of my own money to get this property up and running. The property had been sat empty for 2 years, so the landlord was happy to give me additional 6 months. So Phil says, Arsh, what are the main reasons the current landlords let you have these? It all varies. Now, believe it or not, the property on the left-hand side, the owner is actually a mortgage broker. One on the right-hand side, he's actually quite a well-known entrepreneur that has multiple businesses, just doesn't have the time. He had that sat empty for 2 years. And then going back to these properties, this landlord lives very close and didn't want any of the issues. This landlord actually gave me 2 properties, and again, very busy. And then this landlord on the left-hand side was just an individual landlord that didn't want the hassle of becoming a HMO landlord. Now, let's get to the interesting part. Cornwall. I had no intention of buying properties in Cornwall because, as you can see, most of my properties are mainly based around Wolverhampton or the West Midlands. So, at the start of lockdown, I started looking, thinking, okay, would it be nice to get a holiday home? And I found one property in Cornwall, believe it or not, off eBay. And I started speaking to the owner, and they wanted to sell it. I wasn't interested in buying in Cornwall, but I thought, well, let's have a look at what other options we can offer. And in actual fact, we agreed, property number 1, we agreed a 10-year lease option with the owner, where we agreed a price at today's value at 235,000. It's a 3-bedroom holiday let cottage, right? Literally, if we go to the end of this road, we're at the beach. So if you wanted to have a look at our website, you can go to our website, which is tincroftcottage.co.uk. So once we acquired one and we found it running quite well, we then started to approach other owners on the estate. So let's just imagine that our first one was here. Then we started to approach this one, then that one, then that one, then that one. And we started to approach the owners saying, guys, okay, we're already in the area. We've already got one property. We kind of know how the location works now. Would you be interested in doing something on a long-term basis? And they go, well, what are you proposing? And I put my offer forward, and slowly but surely, over the space of weeks, they all said, okay, if we can do a deal at X, this is where we are. And so as a result, we've now got 5 properties. Sorry, it's not Town, it's Towan, Towan Valley in Cornwall. We've all got 5 properties, all legally agreed in Cornwall. Now, I had no intention of doing this, but as the opportunities came along, we've had the best summer. We've had the best summer because the staycation market, the UK holiday market has been absolutely phenomenal. And these properties generate, on a good week, the best part of £3,000 to £4,000 a week. Now, I've been very pessimistic here where they generate 30,000 per annum. They would generate a lot more than that. So I'm being very, very pessimistic. Bear in mind that in Cornwall, it is a seasonal market. You're going to get, 4-5, maybe even 6 months of good business, and then 6 months where it will not do anything. So the good has to outweigh the bad. And we looked at it from a point of view, and they still generate a healthy cash flow of a minimum of 24,000 per annum per each unit, which meant that over 5 properties, it gives us an annual cash flow of 120,000 collectively of those 5 properties alone. Not to mention all the other ones that we've talked about over the last. So when we've looked at this, when me and my wife went through some of the figures last week, we're looking at, we're knocking on the best part of £20,000 per month cash flow over all the properties that we've generated. Now, I haven't spoken about all the ones that here, but here is a showcase of some of the ones that we've done. So, okay, so some of the questions that come through. So, Phil, is 235,000 to have these for 10 years, or is there rent as well? So, okay, so to have these for the 10 years, no. So, Phil, 235,000 is the purchase price. That's the option price. Then you're still having to pay rent to the owners for that. So Paul said Cornwall is stellar this year. Yeah, absolutely agree. And I don't see it going anywhere. So Mohammed says, are you paying rent? Yes, I'm still paying rent during the week, during the month as well. So Lucy says, how do you cover the ground? How do you find? Do you have help to find and negotiate properties? Who's looking after the 1,100 HMO tenants whilst you're doing this? So Lucy, I actually own a letting agency. I built a whole letting agency to manage my portfolio, so it allows me to go off and do stuff that I like. I don't want to be in a position where I'm managing tenants. That's not where my forte is. My forte is negotiating and doing the deals, and that's where I want to be. So Graham says, did the rent come off the price? No, but you've got to bear in mind that, Graham, in 10 years time, these properties are going to be worth in excess of sorry, tell a lie, Graham, on 4 of these we've done a deal where the rent comes off the purchase price. Yes, so at the end of the 10 years, so sorry, I've had to think about this. So out of the 5 properties, we've got 5 different owners, and one of them is where we pay a low rent, and the full option price is still to be paid at the end of the 10 years. The other 4 we've agreed collectively where at the end of the 10 years, the property, the money that we would have paid over the 10 years would have paid off the balance. So at the end of the 10 years, we'll own those properties outright. So again, no two deals are the same. So Mohammed says, can you get someone to negotiate for you? Yes, you can, Mohammed. I mean, to be fair, if you're not the strongest negotiator, you can put people in place for that. Can you get lease options? Yes, absolutely. These are lease options. Okay, so Adam says, looking to find investors. How did you find your investors? So I'll talk to you about that shortly. Lucy said, how do you get in touch with the owners in the first place? How did you get past the estate agent? It's all very well you tell us how you've done it, but how do we do the same thing? Absolutely, great question. So Lucy, now, one thing I'll say to you is that there's no harm in working with estate agents. However, there are lots of ways that you can work around estate agents. There's lots of, I'll give you an example. Give you an example of a deal that we're in the process of doing only last week, where we tried to work with the agent and the agent refused to work with us or didn't want to work with us. So we went on land registry. Downloaded the documents, cost £3 to do that. Once we got the owner's details, we managed to actually track the owner down via social media. Now, I'm probably giving away too much here, and I don't mind. It is Sunday evening. So we tracked the owner down via social media, and we actually found him on LinkedIn, and we actually found him on Facebook. We sent him a message on both social media platforms, and he came back to us within 24 hours, and we got his phone number, and we actually did a deal with him direct. Now, I'm not saying that you should go and bypass the agent, because if you work with an agent, they will get you multiple deals, and providing that they understand what you do and how they do it, there's no reason why you can't create a relationship. I've got lots of relationships with agents where they send me deals, or they show me opportunities before they put them on the open market. And the reason why I say that is because a vendor will only really have 1 or 2 properties to sell. An estate agency will have a whole book of properties that they're looking to sell, so 30, 40, 50 properties. Now, if you bypass them, you're actually cutting your nose off to spite your face, because if they can give you a multitude of opportunities, why wouldn't you do that? So the one thing I will say is that there's no need to keep every property that you look at, because you decide whether you want to keep the property. And if you don't have the funds, or if you can sell the deal onto a property investor for a fee that wants to build a property portfolio, why wouldn't you do that? Now, look at it from point of view is that you may have seen a property and you're thinking, oh, I like the look of this, but I don't have the funds for it. Now, you've got 2 options. You can either go off and raise the funds, where you can either use other people's money, or you can, in actual fact, say, okay, I haven't got the funds, but I've actually got a great deal here, and you could potentially sell that deal on someone else. And this is where you start becoming a deal sourcer, a deal packager, whatever you want to call yourself. And this is where you monetize every lead, because would you rather say, sorry, Mr. Owner, I can't help you, I don't have the funds to do it? Or would you rather say, I'll tell you what, Mr. Owner, I won't be the purchaser, but I can put you in contact with someone that will, and they'll pay me as a result of, you know, doing the introduction, so you don't need to worry about paying us. And as a result, get the deal done. So which one would you do? Would you do A or B? Would you rather walk away from the deal, or would you rather pass it on and know that you're monetizing that lead? And the good thing with deal sourcing is that you can run it simultaneously whilst you're looking for your own stock. Now, I'll give you the very fundamentals, the principles of deal trading. So you've got the vendor. Remember, we talked about the pain. We talked about motivation. You've got the sourcer. You're the person that can add value to this property. And then you've got the investor, is the person that would be buying the property off you. So the good thing with deal trading is that you can invest in a property without actually buying the house, because you're not actually buying it. So you don't require a deposit. You don't actually need any experience, and therefore there's no issues. And the good thing with deal trading, and I've highlighted it at the top, you get to see all the best deals first. The reason why I got into deal trading is to put yourself in that position so that all the opportunities come to you. And then you look at it and say, is this one for me? Yes or no? I bought so many properties off the back of being the person in the know, where people come to you and say, Arsh, we've got something, would you like to look at it? Or we're selling a property, would you like to look at it? Only about 3 weeks ago, we've seen a block of 12 apartments in Wolverhampton, not even on the open market yet. And we're trying to do a deal with the owner, but I don't think we can kind of get our figures to match. However, what we are going to do is then saying, okay, it's not for us. We're then going to put it out to our investor database and see if we can make a fee off it and monetize that lead. So we get to do all the deals first, and then we get to pick and choose what's right for us, what's not. And if it's not right for us, we sell it on. We're not dealing with any tenants. We're not dealing with any letting agents. We're not dealing with any maintenance, no mortgage companies, no surveyors, no Article 4, no HMO licensing, no HMO regulations, no HMO officer, no planning, no building regs, no finance, no late rent payments, no Section 8, no Section 21, no attending court. Plus, you can start and stop this anytime. What you're doing in actual fact is building a lifestyle business. Okay. Sorry, we've got so many questions flying through. Okay. So Mohammed says, how do you make relationships with your agent? So Mohammed, ask yourself the question, over the last 12 months, how much time have you put into speaking to estate agents in your area? Because how do they know about you, Mohammed? Do they understand who Mohammed is? Do they understand what Mohammed is after? And, you know, don't go into the estate agent and says, hi, my name's Mohammed. I'm looking for properties that need some work doing to it. I will, you know, I'm a cash buyer, but I will offer like 25% below market value. They're going to literally show you the door, saying, thank you very much, Mohammed. I'll tell you what, we'll let you know when something comes in. And as soon as you've left, your business card's going to go in the bin. That's exactly what happens. So you've got to work on a relationship. You've got to stay in contact with these people. You've got to be in contact with them. I'm in contact with estate agents almost like every day, looking at properties. Well, not when I say looking at properties, we're literally negotiating on properties all over the country. So think of the weight of the world. Now, you've got to remember is that estate agents are pretty much, well, deal sourcers are pretty much glorified estate agents. They don't own the property. Estate agents don't own the property. They're literally selling the property on behalf of the owner and trying to find a buyer, and they make their money off the seller, whereas a deal sourcer would generally make their money off the buyer. So if you can put that transaction together and you can create a flow where the agent makes their money from the seller, you make your money from the buyer, do you think that the agents will still work with you, knowing that you can still find them a buyer and it's not costing them a single thing? Absolutely. Look at the way that the world is going. Bitcoin, as much as you may love it or you hate it, is one of the highest valued currencies that has no banks. Uber, the largest taxi company, owns no cars. Now, The whole purpose that I'm telling you this is, if you think about what I've been telling you, the rent-to-rent properties that I've taken on, I don't own those assets and I'm simply controlling them. Deal sourcing, I don't own the assets and I'm simply controlling them. And I'm making the money from the center. Facebook, the most popular media owner, creates no content. Airbnb, the largest accommodation provider, has no real estate. Okay, so we've got some another question from Rahul. While you wait for someone in your investor community to buy that deal, how do you agree with the vendor to not put it on the open market yet? So Rahul, this is where you need to start working, because you can't then hold on to a deal for 2 to 4 weeks expecting the vendor to sit on their hands. Now, put yourself in the vendor's shoes. Put yourself in the vendor's shoes. If Rahul came to you and you said to him, I'll tell you what, Rahul, I'm going to go and fight. Sorry, the owner says, okay, I'll give you the property, but you need to find me a buyer quick. And then you're hanging around for 2 to 4 weeks trying to find a buyer. You're not doing the owner any favors. So in that respect, you've got to make sure that the deal remains motivated throughout the whole process. Does that make sense? Because if yours, the estate agent can sell it quite quickly if it's a deal. So as a deal trader, your role is to find landlords and homeowners that are struggling to sell their house and to offer them a unique solution. So again, looking at the scenario, as I said at the start of this presentation, Zoopla has got a tool where it shows you which ones have been reduced and how much it's been reduced by, how long it went on the market for. You could literally offer these guys and say, guys, okay, your estate agent hasn't really sold it. Are you considering, plan B? If so, let's start talking. Then you sell the deal onto a property investor for a fee, and you make money, you make property cash flow without actually buying the property. So why is it an important skill to have? Because how else would a property investor in London get to know about the great deal that you have in Manchester without you? How else would agents be able to sell their hard to sell properties? Remember, investors can take calculated risks, whereas homeowners are simply after somewhere to live. And how would distressed sellers be able to sell their problems, solve their problems without problem solvers like us? And we go through the source, package, and sell process. Now, remember what I said at the start of this presentation. There's so many different types of deals. Below market value deals, rent-to-rent deals, service accommodation deals, lease option deals. Believe it or not, there's actually 21 different styles of deals. But I work with estate agents all over the country who offer me these. And going back to your question, I think it was Mohammed, tell estate agents exactly what you're looking for. Try and buy and trade the deals and you say you will, and do the deals that you say you will, and watch them send you more deals. Now, there's 10 steps to sell your deal. And here's the 10 steps. The first thing is understand the location. You've got to make sure that you've got pictures of the property. You've got to make sure that you've got market values and comparables. You've got to show the purchase price. You've got to show where the discount is. You've got to put your sourcing fee in. You've got to look at what the vision is for the property, and so that you can really show someone how they can not only get in, but also get out of that deal. You've got to show them cash flow forecast. You've got to show them the total required to purchase, and you've got to give them the call to action to say, Mohammed, I want this deal. Here, who do I call? Now, I'm going to put this out there, that if you find a deal and you can't find an investor for it, one of the questions is that if I can't find an investor, how do I find an investor? I'll actually list it for you on the Property Investor app, and we do a split on the fee. Whereas if you source deals through estate agents, then it's free for you to get started. So if you're starting sourcing through estate agents and then you sell them to my list through the Property Investor app, it literally is a very straightforward transaction for you. Does that make sense so far? And I'm just going to quickly tell you about a deal trading bootcamp that I'm running on the Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th of October. And bear with me, because then we're going to go back into a load of Q&A and also go back into some content. So what I'm doing is on the 9th and 10th, I'm running a 2-day online workshop that removes both of the problems giving you the skills and the confidence to start making cash flow from the very next day. So what the Dual Trading Bootcamp is all about, it's going to be showing you all the different ways of how to source deals. We're going to be looking at the 5 different types of deals you can trade. We're going to be looking at how to appraise them, how to negotiate them, and how to package them and sell them. As well as that, I'm also going to be getting my broker on the workshop, my mortgage broker, who will be going through all the finance and how you can work through the finance. So that a lot of people said, well, how can I fund this deal? There are ways that you can fund deals by using creative bridging strategies. He's going to be online. As well as that, we're also going to have our architect online that's going to be going through the things that you should be looking for when you look at a property, so that you can quickly identify where the value is in this property. As well as that, we're going to have all the negotiation secrets to effortlessly create a win-win. We're going to be doing some live calls on the day to estate agents and also vendors on the day. So you can see that I do this on a day-to-day basis. I'll be talking you through the whole process. I'll be giving you the 10-step persuasion process to instantly sell your deals. Plus, you get all the contracts, deal analyzers, and scripts, so it gets you started pretty much the same day, and a recording of the entire event. So it's broken down into 8 sections, which is overview, economics, analysis, types of deals, sourcing strategies, negotiation secrets, list building, and selling. And again, we're going to have my broker who's going to be on with us, so he's going to be showing you the different ways that you can fund these deals. So remember, you don't have to sell all the deals. The ones that you like, you try and find a way to fund them yourself. As well as that, you're then going to have the architect who's going to be able to put everything together so that you know. So if you decide that you're thinking that that can become a block of flats, that you have that person who's got the confidence to get you that position. So I appreciate that, you know, lots of people are going back to live events. We're still running it as a live stream from the comfort of your own home. You can, if you can't attend the live stream on the day, you can actually purchase a recording. So let's get moving on. So for the resources, I'm going to be giving you a BMV deal sheet analysis. I'm going to be giving you a rent-to-rent deal sheet analysis. I'm going to be giving you a lease option deal analysis spreadsheet, HMO deal analysis spreadsheet. I'm going to be giving you a lockout agreement so that you get that exclusivity with the owner. I'm going to be showing you a tactic which no one really talks about, called the assisted sale process. Just to give you an example, there was a piece of land that I did. Now, this goes back a couple of years in Dudley, which is in the West Midlands, where we agreed a deal with the vendor at 70,000. And the property introduction agreement that we had drawn up by my solicitor then allowed me to go off and sell the property for a lot more money. Now, I put this property into an auction, and I sold it for 100, and I think it was 105,000. And it allowed me to keep anything in excess of the 70,000. So these are little tactics where, and this is depending on what you call it. Lots of people, I call this an assisted sale, because you're selling the property on behalf of the owner, but yet you're still making a large commission. So that property alone, we made approximately 35,000 off that property alone. And I'll be sharing the agreement that we use for that. We've got proven leaflet templates. I'm going to be very clear, we don't do leaflets anymore. We haven't done leaflets for about 10 years. Proven posters. We've got the letter sequence that we send to buyers and sellers. We've got the proven newspaper-led generation adverts. I still do a lot of newspaper adverts, and the ultimate vendor questions. Now, what will this do for you? And then we're going to go straight into this. So enjoy quick results, because when you start to look at a property, you're then going to be able to understand how to find, agree, and selling a deal. And again, understanding the difference of, do you buy it yourself, or do you sell it on to an investor? If you haven't got the funds, you sell it on. If you can fund it in a strategic way where you're not having to put your money into the deal, then you buy it yourself. And again, I'll be putting you in contact with the people that can do that. And you watch your income soar. As I've done over the last 12 months, we've generated a business. And again, this was more so an experiment for me, where I could see what I could do over the last 12 months. And it's generated around £20,000 cash flow per month, without becoming that one-trick pony, so that you look at all the different types of deals. And how to see the potential in every opportunity, how to look at the discount, how to look at the income, how to look at the development potential, and how to negotiate a win-win scenario, and how to sell your deals if you can't buy them yourself to my database, and how to profit from it from baby steps when you JV with me. So just so that you know, I'm looking for success stories. So the reason why I'm running this webinar is because I want people that can really inspire other people. So you can attend. Normally, I would do this. I would normally sell this workshop for the best part of £2,000, but today we're only offering it at £997, based on the fact that you'll provide us either with a written or a video testimonial after the workshop. And these property secrets will only become valuable when you use them. I'm just gonna push through onto the Q&A. I'm gonna say that this session is only designed to push you through your comfort zone. I'm not after people that will say, yeah, I'll think about it, I'll do it later. This is more so to give you the deal flow to achieve your cash flow goals. So there's the date. I'm going to leave that on screen right now, and we're going to go through some of the Q&A. So it is Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th. And just so that you know, I give you a money back guarantee. So if at the end of the first day you're not completely satisfied, all you have to do is say, and I'll give you a full refund. So there's the date, and the cost of the course is $997 per person. Right, questions. Right. Let's have a quick look. So Mohammed says, can you send this to me? So Mohammed, if you copy that link at the bottom, that will get you through to that. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Are there any additional things in order to be a deal trader? For example, a certification before you can become one. So you do need to be compliant. There's two ways that you can answer this question. First one is that you will need to, if you're selling deals yourself and your aim is to become a deal sourcing company, I would definitely suggest go and become fully compliant. It costs approximately the best part of £800 per year to become compliant, but in theory that is less than one deal a year, and everyone should be looking to do at least one deal a month. Okay, so Lucy, so you said if I want to pass the deal on to another purchaser, right, let's have a quick look. You put this in. I can't find homeowners who are struggling to sell their house, but I can see how to make money from the deal. I still have to find around 100k for each and every property and take the risk. How do I decide which seller and property to go for? Okay, so Lucy, that's interesting. So you've got homeowners, you can see that there's some kind of value there, but you said that you need funds in order to do that deal and take the risk. Okay, so that's very interesting, because you can do deals, and again, I'll talk about the assisted sell process where you don't have to buy the property, you can increase and add the value and then sell it on and still make that difference. So there is a massive opportunity for you there. And if I wanted to pass the deal on to another purchaser, how do I find potential buyers? That's quite an easy one. I could help you list them on the Property Investor app and sell them onto our database. Okay, so right, okay, so I go, Arsh, do you have a special discount on sourcing fees for those who like to buy from you from the Property Investor app? Special discount on sourcing fees for those who like to buy from you from the Property Investor app. Zach, so for sourcing fees, if for those that are multiple or return buyers, yes, we do. We do. Sorry, I'm reading multiple questions. So we do offer discounts to those that buy multiple deals offers. So yes, we do. So Robert says, just secured a property through your app. Thank you very much. Can be added to early bird of just already bought the deal. Don't ask, you don't get. Thanks for all the content. Thanks, Rob. If you just give me a shout tomorrow, I'm sure we can sort something. Okay. So Rahul says the link does not work. Okay, so Rahul, I'd like to think the link does work. Bear with me a second. So I'm going to quickly copy this and paste it into the. I'm going to paste it into the chat, and so if everyone can copy that, it is it is case sensitive, so I've just put that in there. So, and then the testimonial will be, where do I send the testimonial to? What we'll do after the workshop, we'll ask you to provide your testimonial or what you thought of it. So how can you offset from the profit of the sourcing fee in regards to self-assessment? So Jules, just so that you know, that's something that you'll have to take up with your accountant, your tax advisor, because I don't know what your personal circumstances are. Okay, so Paige says, what's your take on charging a 5% fixed finder's fee on all discounted property deals? This is what I'm thinking of charging, but it's a bit wary given the fact that I'm sourcing in London where the price is quite high. Right, Paige, it's not a case of the percentage, it's a case of what you bring into the table. I appreciate that you're bringing below market value opportunities in London, etc. But what does that look like from a percentage? Is it 10%? Is it 15%? The higher the discount, the bigger the fee. And with all due respect, that's as easy as it should be. If you're providing a 50% discount, don't go out and sell yourself short for a £2,000 fee. Go out and actually say, well, in actual fact, I've done this deal, I've done all the hard work. Let's and as a result, let's make a decent fee on it. Okay, how will the joint venture work with you? So Mohammed, how it would work with the joint venture is that you, after you've been to the workshop or after you've been to the boot camp, you go off and find the deal with the vendor. We get the deal agreed with the vendor, and then we sell the deal on the property investor app, and we sell it for a sourcing fee, and then we do a split on the fee. So it's not a joint venture where I will come in on the property and buy the property with you. We'll sell the property onto the property investor app. So questions, okay. So Mohammed says, can I join a JV with you without the boot camp? If you've got a deal and you want to bring it onto the app, then perhaps, but we won't negotiate the deal. We won't help with the deal in that respect. Do you have deals ready in London to start by refurbished refinance? Yes, Mohammed. Muhyiddin, sorry if I've pronounced that incorrectly. We've got deals in London already on the app, yes. Right, so let's have a quick look. I've quickly going through the questions. Is there anyone that's got any questions specific? Do investors all have to be cash buyers to ensure you can purchase fast? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. A lot, 95, a high 95% of my deals are all sold to mortgage purchasers. Jules says, there are potentially 3 properties, all tenanted, thinking selling. Happy for you to take the sourcing fee in full. Okay, so Jules, best thing to do, if you can, I'll send you, if you stay on to the end of the session, I'll give you my details, and then if you want to just drop me details with your info, and then we'll have a chat with you. Okay. Also, we'll be doing another webinar. Okay, possibly, I'm not sure yet. So, Arsh, when you say manage, okay, so Charlie says, hi, Arsh, when you say you manage to pull all your money out of the refurbs, does this include your initial deposit and build fees, leaving 25% of your money in, or was that just part of the profit? Would you always have to leave some your money in? No, I've managed to take all my money out, so my 25% deposit and also my refurb costs, plus all my legal costs, plus my professional costs, so the full lot. But that is by understanding the figures from the outset. So again, the workshop is a 2-day online event. It is done from the comfort of your own home, and we'll be showing you how to source properties all over the country. You can ask questions in the chat box. I'll answer them throughout the day, and we'll be even looking for property deals together on the event. So again, it's the 9th and 10th of the November, and it's covered by my money back guarantee. And it is 9 AM to 5 PM on both days for those that are asking. Okay, so Zach said, besides the Cornwall property, have you invested in properties far away from your area that you live in? I have, but I've bought them and I've sold them. So I bought some properties in Middlesbrough. I bought properties in most places, in actual fact. I've not bought them and kept them other than the ones in Cornwall. So Miss V said have deals where we can get them. So I have deals. How do we get them onto the app? So Miss V, if you want to just hold on just until the end of the session, which is just a few minutes, I'll put my details and give me a shout from there. So Billy said, if you view a house which is down the road, the majority of the houses have full let signs outside. Would you say that's a bad sign? No, not necessarily. Again, you've got to understand the supply and demand in that location. Understand again by speaking to agents, by speaking to agents in that location, understanding, what's it close to, where the tenant's going to come from. That's what I need to ask. So Ruth said, what's the difference in this boot camp versus joining the property tribe? Is this good for new starters? So Ruth, this is a fantastic product for people starting, because what we're going to be doing is going through all the different strategies. And more importantly, Ruth, what I'll actually throw in is a bonus module, which I can give you, which gives you an overview of what each of the strategies are, so that you can start on that beforehand. Plus, I'll also give you the recording of a previous session that I did, so that you can watch that prior to the 9th and the 10th, so you can get yourself a head start. Okay, so hello Arsh, another webinar. I would like to join the October bootcamp training. So Ken, in order to join the bootcamp training, if you look in the chat box, there's a link which is bit.ly/Deal Masterclass. Click on that link and it will take you onto the page. So Paige says, what do you say to potential investors to get them into your investor database as a beginner? So very simply, Paige, you just got to let them know that you come across property deals on a daily basis, or you come across deals, and would you like them to be sent over to people? You could put out adverts on if you wanted to. You could put adverts out on Facebook. You could even do Google adverts. You could do YouTube adverts. Advertising that you're getting this kind of stock, and there's loads of people that can do that. So Zabir said, hi Arsh, what would you advise if someone who is already working but thinking about opening a limited company for the property side? What are the tax implications? Well, definitely worth opening a limited company if you're going to do this on a full-time basis. And I would definitely advise, if you're going to buy properties, keep them in one limited company. I definitely advise, if you're going to only do rents, keep them in a different company, so that it avoids some of the liabilities. Okay, so is this course CPD approved? Will I get a certificate which I can use to claim as a training and upskilling cost to my investment businesses? It's not CPD approved, I don't mind saying that. But what it will do, it will definitely give you all the skills and the training, so that you can definitely push it forward onto your business. And again, that's covered by my money back guarantee. So let's just have a quick look. So lots of people say, how do you get access to the recorded session? It could be that I push this out during the week. Not 100% sure whether we're going to push it out yet, but I'll let you know. So let's get moving on. So do you need any previous experience? No, is the honest answer. All you need to do is follow a proven system with consistent action. You need to be consistent with the action. I don't want you to go off and do 20 calls in 1 week and 2 calls in another. I'd rather you say, in actual fact, I'm only going to do 2 calls a week or 5 calls a week, and remain consistent with that action. And if you can sacrifice just almost like 1 day or even a couple of hours from your weekend to your property business, then you'll consistently trade at least 1 deal a month. And we're very certain in that. And again, if you haven't already got a buyer, you can JV with me and we can find a buyer, which means that all you have to do is source the deal and let me take care of the rest for you. Okay, so Zach says, does the money back guarantee apply to the other mode of attendance too? So all we do, Zach, is the online at the moment. So again, it'll be on the money back guarantee, where at the end of the first day, if you don't feel like you're getting enough value, all you got to do is send us a message by the end of the first day, and you get all your money back. Right, okay, I'm just going to quickly get through. So the one thing that you have to be is smart, hungry, and motivated. If you want property cash flow, then this is definitely for you. If you're looking for the fastest way to turn hard work into cash, then this is for you. Because the one thing I will say is that after the workshop, it's not a case of, sorry guys, I'll leave you there. If you want, we'll create a mini support group on WhatsApp, and as a result, you can ask questions. If you need help, I'll create a link where you can book a call with me, and we can go through some of the things that you're struggling with. So hopefully you can see that anyone can get quick results when they follow a proven strategy with consistent action. And for those that were awaiting some details, if you want, you can send me, if you've got any questions, feel free to give me a quick call. You've got my personal mobile number on there. Now, as you can appreciate, not many people will give out their personal mobile number where you can speak to you directly. So how many of the training companies do you know will give out their personal mobile number on a webinar? Not many, that's for sure. So best thing to do is that if you are sitting on the fence and you do want to have a chat and you're thinking, is this right for me? Can I make this work? How will I do this? Feel free to give me a call and let's have a chat about that. For those that have said that they may potentially have some deals that they want to chat about, and you can email it over to me, which is arsh@arshellahi.com, and we'll go from there. Are there any other questions? So Ken, if you want to send me a message, and then I'm more than happy to go through that with you as well, if that's okay. Jules said, thanks, give you a call tomorrow. Appreciate that, Jules, and then let's go from there. So brilliant. I think we've actually been on time. So guys, on that note, if there are no further questions, I want to thank you all very much for your time. More importantly, I look forward to seeing you all on the 9th and 10th of October, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.